Hello friends, how are you? Today we will discuss about how to complete the CSS profile. Here's a step-by-step guide to filling out the CSS profile for college financial aid. The CSS profile is an application for college financial aid required by 300 colleges, universities, and scholarship organizations. Completing the CSS profile, short for college scholarship service profile, can be cumbersome, experts says. But recently changes to the CSS profile are expected to make the process more accessible and affordable for both low and middle income families. For some students, any kind of form can be a challenge to fill out, says Samantha Vaidar, Associate Dean of College Enrollment and Director of Financial Aid at the University of Rochester in New York. But it is absolutely necessary in order for colleges and universities to gather the data that they need to award their limited financial aid grants and scholarships in a way that's equitable. What is the CSS profile? The CSS profile, administered and maintained by the College Board, opens the door to non-federal scholarship and other kind of institutional aid that can make a big difference when it comes time to pay for college. Aiming to paint a fuller picture of a family finances, the CSS profile offers opportunities for families to describe any unique and extenuating circumstances affecting their ability to pay. The CSS profile is going to go more in depth, so be ready for that sake. Eleni Rubin, Director of Corporate Communication at Advisor, a higher education resources site. Unfortunately, when it comes to families who don't want to provide the information, it may be a requirement, especially if your student or child is going to a school that requires the CSS profile. The schools that required the application are mostly private colleges or other institutions that have large endowments, experts says. For some families, completing the CSS profile will result in institutional scholarships and a lower net price when refers to what the student actually pays to go a particular college. But for others, submitting the application may not have an impact. Experts suggested families to use a net price calculator, a tool that takes potential financial aid into account to determine a rough estimate of the total cost of attendance. I would encourage families to fill out the application because in most cases it will disqualify them for consideration for need-based financial aid if they don't fill out the CSS profile application. Brian Lee Sang, Assistant Vice Provost for Financial Aid at American University, wrote in an email. I have seen many families who believed they would not qualify get significant and there is no drawback for applying other than the time spent and the small fee charged by CSS to some families. Then the need-based grant aid available for most private universities is significantly higher than what they could qualify for through the FAFSA. It's always worth the shot. CSS Profile Schools. Only certain colleges and universities require the CSS profile to be considered for need-based financial aid. While many are private institutions, some are publicly schools. Here are a few examples of schools that accept or require the CSS profile for 2022 to 23 school year. Alabama and A&M University, Brandeis University, Duke University, Emory University, Grinnell College, Oregon State University, Stevens Institution or Institute of Technology, Tulane University, University of Southern California, Villanova University, Vorostica Political Institute. See the full list of school university as below. How to complete the CSS profile? Students applying to a college that requires a CSS profile or families who need financial aid and are interested in schools that use to the form should follow these steps in their video. College board account. Students who have taken the SAT may already have a college board account which can be used to complete their CSS profile, sign in or create a profile by ordering as below link. Gather the necessary documentation. The CSS profile requires text documents from the same year as the free application for federal student aid or FAFSA, which is required for students interested in receiving federal financial aid. Students who have already completed the FAFSA can use much of the same documentation for the CSS profile. On both forms, families will be reported with their income from 2 years prior to the year a student plans to attend college. A family completing the form for 22-2023 academic year for assistance will use the 2020 tax return. Since the CSS profile is a very in-depth form, families should expect to need additional documents. These will include their most recent completed tax returns, W-2 forms, and other record of current year income, record of untaxed income and benefits assist, and the bank statement according to the college board. Select colleges. Select have the opportunity specific student have the opportunity to specify which colleges they want to receive their CSS profile. There is no limit to number of schools a student can apply to even under a fee waiver according to Gail Holt, Dean of Financial Aid at the Amherst College in Massachusetts. Complete the application. In many ways, it's going to start off feeling very much the same as the FAFSA, says Scott Wallace, used director of undergraduate financial aid at Yale College, a constituent school of Yale University in Connecticut. Tell us about your family, where you live, how old are your parents, how you have other siblings in college, then it will ask for tax data. For 2020-22 CSS profile previously introduced features like skipping logic, which reduces question for low-income families, were updated to make the form easier to complete. Other new enhancements include fewer school-specific questions. A shorter version of the form is in the development stages and expected to launch in fall 2020-22. Hope you have enjoyed and understand how to apply for CSS profile. Thank you.